You wake up at 4 a.m. The air is manufactured, recycled. Every molecule of oxygen has passed through someone else's lungs at least twice. You swing your legs out of a coffin-sized bunk, and your foot nearly hits the face of the sailor sleeping 18 inches below you. You're one of 12 women on board. The other 138 crew members are men, and you won't see land for another 83 days. Welcome to the reality nobody talks about, being a female submariner in the United States Navy. Right now, beneath the Pacific, women are operating in one of the military's most extreme environments. They're running nuclear reactor systems, firing torpedoes, commanding watch stations, and doing it all while living in a steel tube where privacy is a fantasy and every move you make is visible to 138 other people. One wrong assumption, one moment of weakness, one breach of the unspoken rules, and your career is over. What nobody tells you about being a female submariner is that the technology is the easy part. The claustrophobia? Manageable. The recycled air? You adjust. The coffin-sized bunks? You get used to it. It's the constant proving that breaks people. The unwritten expectations. The mental chess game of earning respect without demanding it. Being tough without being aggressive. Being feminine without being vulnerable. Let's start with how they get on board in the first place. The Navy didn't allow women on submarines until 2010. That's 13 years after women were allowed in combat aviation, 40 years after women entered the Naval Academy. Why the delay? The official reason was always modifications required, privacy concerns, berthing arrangements, bathroom facilities. The real reason was culture. Submarine culture is one of the most traditional, most tightly knit communities in the entire military. These guys lived by a code developed over decades. Introducing women meant changing everything. In 2011, the first female submarine officers reported aboard. Not enlisted sailors. Officers. The Navy started at the top because officer spaces were easier to modify. 'Cause, let's be honest, it was a test case. Lieutenant Marquette Leaping became one of the first. She walked onto USS Wyoming knowing every eye was on her, knowing she represented every woman who would come after, knowing that one mistake would be magnified into proof that women couldn't handle submarine duty. The pressure was suffocating, and I'm not talking about ocean pressure. Here's what the selection process looks like for female submariners today. You don't just volunteer, you compete. The acceptance rate is lower than Harvard Medical School. Physical qualifications are identical to men. No adjustments, no allowances. You meet the same strength requirements, the same endurance standards, the same technical knowledge benchmarks. But there's an additional screening that male submariners don't face. Psychological evaluation specifically designed to assess your ability to handle being a minority in an enclosed space for 3 months. How do you respond to isolation? How do you handle being constantly observed? How do you deal with zero privacy? Because on a submarine, there's nowhere to hide. Berthing modifications sound straightforward on paper. In reality, they're very complicated. The Navy converted existing officer staterooms into female berthing areas. Every accommodation required separate heads, separate shower facilities, separate changing areas. But submarines weren't designed with extra space. Every modification meant removing something else. On USS Florida, converting berthing for female officers required removing a torpedo tube. A weapons system got sacrificed to create privacy for 18 women. Let that sink in. The Navy gave up firepower to integrate women. That's how serious they were about making this work. Female enlisted berthing presented even bigger challenges. Enlisted submariners traditionally hot rack in massive berthing compartments with dozens of bunks. Privacy is non-existent. Everyone changes clothes in front of everyone else. Everyone showers in communal facilities. You can't just throw curtains up and call it solved. So the Navy created separate berthing modules, smaller spaces that could be locked, individual shower stalls instead of communal facilities. USS Michigan underwent modifications costing $3.4 million to accommodate female enlisted sailors. One submarine, $3.4 million. Critics said it was too expensive, that the money could be better spent elsewhere. But come on, equal opportunity doesn't have a price tag. The modifications happened anyway. Now, here's what really happens when 12 women live with 138 men in a space smaller than most houses. The bathroom situation is weirdly the least complicated part. Female sailors get their own head facilities, locked doors, private showers, basic human dignity. Male sailors continue using communal facilities because that's what they've always done, and frankly, submarine culture doesn't care about privacy for anyone. But a fun fact here: female submariners consistently report better hygiene standards in shared spaces after integration. Suddenly, the guys are actually cleaning up after themselves. Suddenly, there's soap in the dispensers. Suddenly, nobody's leaving their dirty laundry in passageways. The physical fitness requirements create interesting dynamics. Submarines have basically zero space for traditional exercise. There's one tiny compartment with a stationary bike, a rowing machine, and maybe some dumbbells if you're lucky. That's it. Female submariners can't afford to let physical fitness slide because muscle loss happens fast in confined spaces. But they also can't dominate the limited workout equipment because 138 other people need access too. So they adapt. Bodyweight exercises in berthing areas, resistance band routines during off hours. Some women run laps through submarine passageways at 2 a.m. when everyone else is sleeping, logging miles in 90-second loops. Lieutenant Amelia Umanzor described working out as creative problem-solving under extreme constraints. You want to stay fit? Figure it out. Nobody's giving you extra time or extra space. Next comes the food situation, which gets complicated in ways you wouldn't expect. Submarine cooks prepare 4 meals daily for 150 people using only shelf-stable ingredients after the first 2 weeks. They're accommodating religious dietary restrictions, allergy concerns, and now feminine health considerations. Iron deficiency is more common in women. Calcium requirements differ. Caloric needs vary based on body composition and workload. Did the Navy develop special meal plans for female submariners? Nope. Female sailors manage their own nutrition using the same food available to everyone else. They track their macros. They supplement when needed using personal supplies. They figure it out. Because asking for special treatment is career suicide. The qualification process for earning your dolphins, the submarine warfare insignia, is brutal for everyone. But women face additional scrutiny because every male sailor who's been observing female integration has opinions about whether women can hack it. You must learn every system on the submarine: the nuclear propulsion plant, the weapons systems, the navigation equipment, the life support systems, every emergency procedure, every backup system, every failure mode. Then you stand before a qualification board of senior enlisted and officers who grill you for hours. They don't ask softball questions. They're looking for gaps in knowledge, hesitation, uncertainty. Female submariners consistently report that their qualification boards run longer and dig deeper than boards for male counterparts. Not official policy, just reality. One female petty officer spent 11 months qualifying. The average for men was 8 months. When she finally earned her dolphins, not a single person congratulated her. They just nodded. Because on submarines, you don't get praised for meeting the standard. You just get accepted. Pregnancy policy makes sense. Female submariners can't deploy while pregnant. Radiation exposure risks, medical emergency concerns, and physical demands make it impossible. So pregnancy means immediate reassignment to shore duty. This sort of creates career implications that male submariners never face. Submarine billets are limited. Getting selected for submarine duty is competitive. If you leave for pregnancy, getting back is harder. Some female officers delay starting families for years to avoid career damage. Others accept that having children means their submarine career is over. There's no perfect answer for this. The Navy offers 18 weeks of maternity leave, which sounds generous until you realize it means 18 weeks of not qualifying, not advancing, not building the experience your male peers are accumulating. But wait. Female submariners prove their mental toughness in ways that have nothing to do with physical strength. The relationship dynamics are navigated with precision. Fraternization policies are strictly enforced. Officers don't date enlisted. Period. But submarines are small. Feelings develop. Attractions form. Human nature doesn't stop existing just because you're underwater. Female submariners describe it as emotional bomb disposal. You're aware of every interaction, every conversation, every moment that could be misinterpreted. You're conscious of body language, tone of voice, time spent talking to any individual male sailor. Because if rumors start, your reputation is damaged permanently. Male sailors face similar concerns, but with different stakes. For men, a relationship accusation might mean counseling or reassignment. For women, it means proving that you didn't sleep your way into qualifications, didn't use femininity to avoid work, didn't compromise submarine safety through distraction. The standard is unfair. Everyone knows it. Nobody talks about it. So female submariners maintain professional distance that borders on coldness. They're friendly, but not too friendly. Helpful, but not too helpful. Present, but not too present. It's exhausting. Leadership positions for women on submarines are increasing, but slowly. In the United States Navy, no woman has yet reached the rank of commanding officer of a submarine. Right now, women serve as executive officers, department heads, division officers. But the top position remains male-dominated, not because of official policy, because of time. Commanding a submarine requires 15 to 20 years of submarine experience. Women have only been eligible since 2011. The math simply hasn't caught up yet. The Navy projects the first female submarine commander will take command by 2028. Lieutenant Commander Amber Cowan served as executive officer aboard USS New Hampshire, second in command of a ballistic missile submarine carrying nuclear weapons. When she gave orders, 154 male sailors followed them without question, not because she demanded respect, because she earned it through competence, consistency, and refusing to accept lower standards for herself than she expected from her crew. Mental health underwater presents unique challenges for everyone, but like we mentioned earlier, women face additional pressures. You can't show weakness, can't admit struggling, can't seek counseling without it being documented in your service record and potentially affecting your security clearance. Female submariners describe developing internal coping mechanisms that border on dissociation. You separate your emotions from your circumstances. You function on autopilot. You save the emotional processing for after you surface. There are some unwritten rules women follow to survive submarine culture. Never be the first to complain about anything. If the compartment is freezing, wait for a male sailor to mention it. If the food is terrible, let someone else say it first. Never ask for help unless you've exhausted every other option. Figure it out. Struggle silently. Make it work. Never mention your period, ever. Manage it privately. Dispose of supplies discreetly. Pretend it doesn't exist. Never cry where anyone can see you. Not during qualifications. Not after long watches. Not when you're exhausted and homesick and questioning why you volunteered for this. These rules aren't written anywhere. Nobody teaches them. Women just learn them through observation and the occasional subtle correction from other female submariners who've survived longer. The camaraderie that eventually develops is earned through shared suffering. After 3 months underwater, gender pretty much stops mattering as much as competence. The crew remembers who performed well during emergencies, who stayed calm during drills, who pulled extra watches when someone got sick. Female submariners who prove themselves find acceptance that's deeper than superficial inclusion. They become part of the brotherhood, though nobody calls it sisterhood because submarine culture doesn't change its language for anyone. When USS Michigan surfaced after a 6-month deployment with female enlisted sailors aboard, something unexpected happened. Male sailors who'd been skeptical about integration admitted the women performed just as well as their male counterparts. Not better, not worse, the same. Which was exactly the point. Right now, somewhere beneath the ocean, women are operating submarines. They're standing watch, they're running equipment, they're making decisions that affect national security. You'll never know their names, you'll never see their faces, you'll never hear their stories unless they choose to share them. But they're there, breathing the same recycled air, eating the same canned food, sleeping in the same coffin-sized bunks, following the same unwritten rules that keep everyone sane. And when they finally surface, when they finally see sunlight again, when they finally step onto solid ground, they do something that proves their commitment beyond any doubt. They volunteer to go back down. Now, I want to hear from you. Could you handle 90 days underwater as one of 12 women among 138 men, constantly proving yourself, never showing weakness? Be honest. Drop a comment below. If this changed how you think about female submariners, hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. And check out the next video here.